Xin chào mừng quý vị và các bạn quay trở lại với phần 2 của chương trình Đồng tiền thông minh trên kênh truyền hình FBNC. Phỏng vấn ông Nestor Scherbey là cố vấn cao cấp của Liên minh thuận lợi hóa thương mại Việt Nam về chủ đề Hiệp định TPP. Trong phần 1, quý vị và các bạn đã hiểu được khái quát về TPP, điểm nổi bật của TPP là gì. Như vậy thì trong phần 2 chúng ta sẽ tiếp tục tìm hiểu tầm quan trọng của TPP đối với Việt Nam, tại sao Trung Quốc lại đứng ngoài cuộc chơi, cũng như là có sự mất cân bằng hay không khi Hoa Kỳ có vẻ là nước giữ quyền lực mạnh nhất trong TPP. Chúng ta sẽ tiếp tục cuộc trò chuyện với ông Nestor Scherbey. So, according to a study conducted by Eurasia Group, we know that Vietnam is supposed to be one of the biggest winners in this trade deal, with a 28% jump in exports, leading to an 11% boost in GDP by 2025. So, do you concur with such optimistic estimations?
Thank you. I'm not familiar with the Eurasia Group study, but I certainly agree with the conclusions that they are projecting based upon other studies and information that I've seen. The highly respected Peterson Institute in the U.S., which advises places like the International Chamber of Commerce and others, calculated that the increase would be approximately, it would lead to an increase of $305 billion per year in GDP by 2025. Interesting thing to me is about 3 years ago, I was present at an AmCham Vietnam presentation by Dr. Lê Đăng Doan, and he had projected statistics and explained them in terms of his estimates and of the impact of these trade agreements. And all of the studies I've seen since have confirmed what he calculated then.
So you have just mentioned about the trade facilitation. So let's talk about something really new. Just last December is the Vietnam Trade Facilitation Alliance. So what is this about, and also what is the role? Does it have any role in TPP negotiations?
The Vietnam Trade Facilitation Alliance is very new. It was established by a memorandum of agreement last December between USAID, the U.S. Agency for International Development, VCCI, AmCham Vietnam, and several leading Vietnamese business associations, VITAS, HAWA, LEFASO, the leading business club, and others are now joining. The purpose of the Business Alliance is to fulfill one of the provisions in the WTO Trade Facilitation Agreement, which requires that all countries have a national trade facilitation committee at the level of a government, and that it has a counterpart in terms of a body that holds regular consultations on a formal basis with business and trade stakeholders, which holds typically these consultations with customs and other ministries and state agencies that regulate trade. They work together cooperatively in order to make modernization happen, to develop reforms in procedures, to provide business advice and recommendations to these government agencies in order to improve trade, which brings great benefits to every country that implements it.
Talking about China, one fact standing out is that China is not part of the TPP. So why was China not included? And could this exclusion of China not prove costly?
It's my understanding that in the very early beginnings of TPP negotiations, China was, I believe, invited to participate, but at that time they deferred making a decision. Perhaps it was too early. But as the negotiations went forward, I don't think that, contrary to what sometimes one may read in the press, that there was an effort to exclude them. And in June 2013, we know at a meeting of President Obama and President Xi Jinping of China and the U.S., China requested more details and information about TPP.
Right.
It is an open agreement that free trade agreements of this type are open for new countries and members to join if they should decide to do so. The challenge for China is that it has to open its markets in terms of investment, in terms of services, and it has to make major or undertake reforms in such areas as state-owned enterprises and access to the internet and many other changes. So it's really a decision of the leadership of China as to whether and when they would make such a decision. In terms of gains and losses, China would lose, according to one study I've seen, by 2025, $46 billion US a year by not joining the agreement. And other countries, the gains will be diminished, including in the United States. What these free trade agreements do is they enlarge the economic pie for everyone.
Right. Right. So we have been talking about Vietnam, about China. Now we talk about USA. USA seems to be the only major power in the TPP. So would it be safe to say that there is imbalance with the fact that USA being the only major power in this trade deal, and it seems to we seem to have a situation that is 11 plus 1 type situation, which means 11 countries and USA. What do you think?
I don't share that opinion because, for example, I think most people would also consider Japan a power. We saw in these difficult negotiations that Australia, Canada, Japan, others drove very, very hard bargains with the U.S. and their negotiating goals had to be compromised. So I think it's the opposite. This is an indication that there is balance because each country is able to freely negotiate with the others on the terms that it insists upon.
Thank you. Thưa quý vị và các bạn, vừa rồi là phần 2 của chương trình Đồng tiền thông minh trên kênh truyền hình FBNC, phỏng vấn ông Nestor Scherbey là cố vấn cao cấp của Liên minh Thuận lợi hóa thương mại Việt Nam về chủ đề hiệp định TPP. Chúng tôi xin phép được quay trở lại trong vòng ít phút nữa.